Good morning, students. In today's class, we will cover the next concept, that is realloc. We have seen a dynamic memory allocation using malloc, wherein we are able to allocate a single block of memory. We have also seen calloc or calloc, which speaks about continuous blocks of memory allocation in the heap section. Now the third one is realloc, REALLOC. So what is the meaning of realloc? So now there may be times when you allocate a particular block of memory for your program. But during the time of execution, you may feel that you require more amount of memory, or you feel that the memory that you have allocated is too much and you want to reduce it. So at that point of time, we can go for reallocating. That is, we can either increase the size of the memory or we can decrease the size of the memory that is already been allocated. So this is the concept of realloc. Have a look at the syntax here. I have mentioned here it in the comments. Okay. So the syntax is pretty much same. We make use of a pointer variable that is pointing to the memory location. Then the cast type. Then we have to make use of the keyword realloc. Realloc indicates that whichever memory location was being pointed to by this pointer, that particular memory location now is going to be reallocated. Means the size is going to increase, or say the size is going to decrease. Then we have to pass the pointer variable which was previously pointing. So with the example you will understand it. Then what is the new size that we require for the newly allocated memory? Let us have a look at the program so that we can understand the definition of this thoroughly. Okay, so I have declared two variables here. I have a pointer variable p and another extra variable for iteration, that is I. This statement at line number 7 is the normal way wherein we try to allocate memory dynamically. So I have made use of my pointer variable and I have made use of the malloc function. Now the malloc function, you know, that will allocate a single block of memory. So here it is going to allocate 2 bytes. We are passing an integer, so it is going to allocate 2 bytes. Next thing is, I've written a printf statement here at line number 9 to accept one element from the user, and that I'm trying to store in my variable p, that is a pointer variable which is pointing to this memory location. So assume that the element that is entered by the user is 10, a single element is entered. Now in the next statement, okay, I'm just printing what I have accepted from the user. I'm just trying to print it. So you are aware of these terms. You are aware of these statements. You know that asterisk of p or indirection operator and p will give you the value or will give you the content at that location. Now the next set of statements are important. Okay. Observe the line number 14. I have written a printf statement saying that increasing the size for the pointer p. So currently my variable p, my pointer variable p is just having a single block. Okay. So what I want is, I want to increase its size. I want to increase the size of my pointer variable which was previously allocated. So what I can do is, I can make use of the realloc function. So this printf statement at line number 14 is just telling the user that, just an indication to the user that we are trying to increase the size of our memory location. At line number 15 now, you can see that we are following this particular syntax. Okay, we are trying to follow this particular syntax. So you see here I have made use of the pointer variable, then followed by the cast type, then I have written realloc. Okay, now here ptr. So what do you have to pass? I have passed the variable p. So most of the times this pointer variable is the variable of whose size we want to increase. That variable we need to pass. So here, since I just have one statement, so I'm going to pass the same pointer variable because I want to increase this memory size only, right? So I need to pass the same pointer variable whose size has to be reallocated or whose size has to be increased now. So previously, this variable p had just one block of memory. Now I am saying that I am passing the new size for that pointer variable and I have said 3, which means that altogether this was one block, I am adding 2 more blocks. So altogether 3 blocks I need for the memory allocation, which is pointed by the variable p. So one element we have already entered here. Next thing is I write another printf statement and I ask the user enter 2 more elements. So for that, to accept 2 more elements, I will make use of a loop. So have a look at the for loop here. We are beginning the for loop from I is equal to 1 and I have said I less than 3. So the loop is going to work how many times? It will work for I is equal to 1 and I is equal to 2. When I becomes equal to 3, okay, when I becomes equal to 3, the loop is going to be terminated because the condition here is just to accept 2 elements, 2 more elements. One element is already entered and the size that we have requested is totally 3 blocks. So one is already entered, we have to enter 2 more elements. So 2 more elements again, we know that we can store it in the heap location by p plus I. So we are aware of this. We need to store it by making use of the variable p, which is the base address, plus I. And the next thing is the printf statement we have just to display all the elements that we have accepted from the user. Then again we have a for loop. So totally now we are having 3 elements that we have accepted from the user. So all the 3 elements that are accepted needs to be printed or needs to be displayed. So this time my loop begins from 0 and will go up till I less than 3. So it means the loop will execute 3 times when I is equal to 0, when I is equal to 1 and when I is less than 2. The moment the I becomes 3, the loop is terminated. And you know, you are aware, this printf statement, we are able to access the content with the help of the asterisk or the indirection operator. P plus I is the address and asterisk indicates the content or the value that is present at this particular address. And the last important step for dynamic memory allocation is we have to manually clear out the memory. So for that we make use of the free function. So this is about realloc, the third one in the dynamic memory allocation, about realloc. So have you people followed this program? Do you want a repetition for this?
Yes, ma'am.
So we are trying to do a program wherein we want to swap 2 values or wherein we want to swap 2 numbers. So you are used to your way of doing swapping 2 numbers, making use of a third variable. You have already done it in C programming. You make use of a temp variable and then we try to swap the 2 numbers. Okay. Now the task here is we will do it using dynamic memory allocation. So just have a look at first the program statement. You need to first understand what is the problem statement here. We are expected to write a C program to swap 2 values using dynamic memory allocation. So what we need to do now? 2 numbers we require, which means we will require 2 pointers because with the help of the pointers only we are trying to store values in our memory location. So at line number 6 here, I have declared 2 pointer variables, P1 and P2. Let me allocate memory to them in the Excel sheet here. So let this be P1 and let this variable be P2. Next statement here at the line number 7. I have allocated memory for the pointer variable P1, and at line number 8, I have allocated memory with the help of malloc, which is a single block allocation. So I have allocated memories. So P1, the variable P1 is holding the address 2000, which means P1 is pointing to this location. P2 is holding the address 2002 because it is integer 2 bytes. So P2 is now pointing to this memory location. Next, I have made use of a printf statement and I'm asking the user enter two numbers. Okay. So here in the scanf statement, you know these are format specifiers for integers. Now I need to accept the two numbers. We have already done this. If we are talking about dynamic memory allocation, we need not make use of the ampersand sign. We need not make use of ampersand sign and accept the variables. We can directly write the pointer variable name. So why do we directly write the pointer variable name? Because if you observe here, P1 is pointing to the memory location 2000. So the moment the user enters a number, say the user enters the number 10, it will be put at this location. Okay. Then another number is to be accepted, that is P2. So where is P2 pointing? P2 is pointing to the memory location 2002. So at the location 2002, another variable will be inserted. Another value for that variable will be inserted. Next thing, I have a printf statement here. I'm just printing the values before swapping. Okay. So before swapping, what is the first number we have? What is the first number before swapping?
10.
10. And have a look at the complete statement. And the second number is going
20.
to be 20. Now, how do you access the content? How do you access the content?
Using asterisk symbol.
Using asterisk symbol. That is what is written here. Star P1, star P2. So if you have a look here, if I need to access the content of P1, if I say asterisk of P1, so it is going to be asterisk at the location 2000, that will give me 10. Asterisk at the location 2002, that will give me 20. So that is, these values I am printing. The next part, we need to swap now. Okay. So this set of statements will help us to swap the values. Let us try to trace it out here. Okay, I'll write it here in the Excel sheet. So we are trying to calculate the value of P1 first. Okay. So what is the formula that is given? Star of P1. What is star of P1?
10.
Correct?
Sir.
10. Plus, what is the value?
20.
20.
20.
Okay, good. So we have the value as 30. This much is done. Next one. Let us have a look at P2 now. We have the formula again star P1, which means again 10 plus, minus star.
Not 10 ma'am, 30.
No, ma'am, it's 30.
Correct. P1 is 30. Sorry, P1 is 30. 30 minus, what is the value of P2?
20.
20.
20.
Correct. So we will get the value to be equal to 10. Next, again we have P1. Now, what is the value of again P1?
30.
It's 30 ma'am.
Minus P2 is 10. We have got the updated value of P2 as 10. So 30 minus 10 is going to be equal to 20. Now, if I write the updated values, you can see here the value of P1, let me write it, star P1 is going to be equal to what? What is the updated value of P1?
20.
20.
20 ma'am.
Correct. And what is the value of star P2? Have a look here at this line. The value is 10.
10.
So are we able to swap? This
Yes,
was his initial
Yes,
values. So we have swapped, correct. So in the memory also, let me update it. Let me make this 20 and let me make this as 10. So here at line number 18, after swapping, I'm just trying to print it again, P1 and P2. That is asterisk P1 and asterisk P2. Next thing is, we are making, now you observe, we are making use of two free functions. Okay, I told you in the beginning that your free function is capable of taking only one argument. If I write here P1 comma P2, that will give me an error. It will not work. Okay, it is capable of taking only one argument. So, since we have made use of two dynamic memory allocations here, we need to write the free function 2 times and pass the pointer variables separately. Let us save this. Let us go back here, check out the execution for this program. So let me give the same numbers. So you can see before swapping and after swapping, the values have been exchanged or the values have been swapped. I hope you are aware of this slash t that will act as a tab, will act as a space. So this is how we are able to swap two numbers using dynamic memory allocation. Is this program understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we forgot to execute this program. I forgot to show you the execution for realloc. Let me go back and show you the execution for this. Okay, so it's asking me enter one element. Let me say 10. So you can see the first element we printed. Then we are getting a prompt for the user saying that we are trying to increase the size of the memory. So it is asking me to, because the realloc statement here at this particular point, I am increasing the size. Okay. So now instead of one block, 3 blocks have been allocated. One is already entered 10. I need to enter 2 more with this. So this statement is printed now. Let's go back. I'll enter 2 more elements. So you see again all of the elements are printed. So this is about realloc. So 2 programs, realloc and swapping 2 numbers using dynamic memory allocation. I want to cover 2 more programs. Okay. One is, have a look at the title now. C program to find frequency of an element in an array using dynamic memory allocation. Okay. What is the meaning of this statement? Let me show you here in the comments. Assume that I have an array, okay, and I have say that I have entered 5 elements in the array. These are my elements. Five elements in the array, and these are my numbers that I have entered. My task is to find out which number. This also I am going to accept from the user. I will ask the user, tell me which number has been repeated how many times. So if the user enters the number 34, 34 has been repeated how many times here? It is repeated twice. It is repeated twice. So we are trying to find the frequency of an element which has been repeated. This is a problem statement. Suppose the user says find out how many times the number 12 has been repeated. In the entire array you can see 12 is not repeated, it's present only one time. So we need to display it is present only once. If the user enters a number which is not present in this array, if he enters the number as 60, 60 is not present here. So the output should be 60 is repeated 0 times. So this is the problem statement. Did you understand the problem statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let us quickly do the program. Here, You are aware now of these statements, okay? Till here you people are perfect. Let me quickly tell you, pay attention to this. A pointer variable for dynamic memory allocation. Then I have taken a variable n to allocate the size. We are going to make use of calloc function here. So why calloc function and why not malloc function? Because calloc, you know that it is equivalent to that of an array. When we try to store the elements, it will continuously store the elements. Then I have taken a variable I for iterating, for the loop. Then another variable called ELE. So this is the element. I have taken this particular variable to ask the user which element do you want to check for repetition. So that is the element. Then frequency, I have initialized it to 0. Why I have initialized it to 0? Because suppose the user enters an element, like in this case, if I ask the user which element do you want to check for the frequency count, and the user enters the number as 60. Is 60 present here in the list? It is not there. So 60 is repeated, the frequency is 0. It is repeated 0 number of times. So that is why we have initialized this to 0, so that it can handle all the possible cases. Okay. Is this declaration understood? All the declarations?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next thing, you are aware of this now? Printf, we are asking the user how many elements you want to store in your array or how many elements you want to store in the memory. So number of elements, let's say that he will enter 5 elements. So n, the value of n becomes 5. Let me write it here. The value of n becomes 5. Then we are making use of this dynamic memory allocation. So it is going to be what now? 5 into size of integer, which is 2 bytes. Okay, here it is. Calloc n size of integer. Let me go back to the Excel sheet. So this is my variable here, T, okay, and it is holding the address currently 2000. Now I have said I need 5 blocks of memory here. So basically all these 5 will be allocated to me. These 5 blocks will be allocated to me. Now I need to enter the elements. So for that I'll make use of a loop. Let me write the variables that we have used. I have said the value of n to be 5. Then here these are going to be my iterations. This is going to be when I is equal to 0, the element will be entered. So now you can tell me why we have used p plus I and at what location will be p plus I. Have a look here in the Excel sheet. What address is P holding? It is holding the address 2000.
2000.
Correct.
2000.
So P plus I will give me what?
2002.
2000.
No?
2000 it will give, ma'am. Because
Give it
I
to-
value 0.
Yes, yes.
2000 for first.
2000. Correct. First, don't be confused. Don't be in a hurry. I is 0 first time. Okay, I have written here. I is equal to 0. So 2000 plus anything 1 into 0 will be 0 only. So we are inserting a first element here. Let me put the same list. I'll say 12. Next time will come here. This time I becomes equal to 1. The element here will be 2000 at the address 2002, which will be 22. So here it is going to be I equal to 3. So let me enter the next value. Similarly for all of the iterations. And this is a last one, that is I is equal to 5. So here I will enter the next number. Okay, so we are done with inserting the elements. Now next I will ask the user here, tell me which element you want to search, you want to find out the frequency of that element. So we need another variable. Let me write it here, ELE. Okay, I'm going to accept. So you people tell me which element you want to search.
34.
34. Okay. Sorry. 34. So the user is telling that find out how many times 34 has been repeated in this list, or find out how many times the number 34 has been repeated in my array or in my memory section. Okay. So manually you can look and tell me it is repeated 2 times. So we are trying to find the element whose frequency is to be searched, and that particular element is going to be stored in the variable ELE. Now the next thing is we have made use of a for loop. What our task is going to be with this loop is, what we are going to do is, when I is equal to 0, okay, when I is equal to 0, we are at this particular location. So our task is what now? With the element 34, we are going to compare all the elements that are present in our array. Okay, I'll repeat once again. We have made use of a for loop here so that we are able to traverse through all these locations. Next thing is, at line number 20, I have made use of a if statement. So here at this if condition, I am just trying to match if my element here that is entered by the user is trying to be same or is trying to match with all these locations. So to trace it out here, let me write here. So if element ELE we know is 34, the user has entered 34. If that is equal to, what is this star p plus I? Content at the address p plus I. So when I is equal to 0, the value of p plus I is going to be 2000. So content at 2000, star indicates content. So content at the location 2000 is 12. So first time here, this is what we are checking. Okay. If I have, I'll write it here for you. P plus I is nothing but it is equal to the address 2000. So when I say star of P plus I, it indicates that I want the content at the location or at the address 2000. So what is the value that we have stored at the address 2000? It is 12.
12.
Correct. So now you tell me, is 34 and is 34 equal to 12?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Definitely no. So it is going to be false. So if it is false, we will, this statement of increasing the frequency will not happen. Okay. You observe, we have initialized, that is why we have initialized our frequency to be equal to 0. Let me write the frequency variable here, which is initialized to 0. So since this is false, frequency remains same. Next, I becomes 1 now. When I becomes 1, again we enter the if condition here. So again we are checking this time, if 34 is equal to star P. P is 2000 plus I has become 1. So this time we are at the address 2002. So the content at the address 2002 is 22. So again we check if 34 is equal to 22. So again it becomes false. So again we are not going to increment our frequency. Next time again I becomes equal to 2, this has to be I equal to 2. We have made a mistake here, this has to be I equal to 2, this is going to be I equal to 3, and this is supposed to be I equal to 4. Okay, so we are at this location now. Now again we are checking, is 34 equal to star of P plus I? So P plus I is nothing but 2004. Star of 2004 is the value 34. So now here, is 34 equal to 34? Yes, the condition is true. So what should happen now? Where should the statement go? At
Frequency.
Correct. So whenever the element is matching the content of our array, okay, whenever the element is matching the content of our array here, we need to increment our frequency count. We need to increase the count. So this time when f frequency plus plus is executed, so the value from 0 will be updated to 1. Next time, again the iteration moves to the next one, I is equal to 3. So now we check, is 34 equal to 44? Again the statement becomes false. So again this particular frequency is not executed. Again we go to the for loop for the last iteration here, and again it checks at this location at 2000, at the address 2008. So again it is going to be 34 is equal to the content of the array, so it becomes true, and again this statement executes. So this time the count of the frequency will be updated to 2. Okay, and here in the printf statement we are just printing which element we are checking for the frequency and how many times it has been repeated. And the last statement, you know, we are just trying to clear the memory location. So this is the tracing part. Have you all followed the tracing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, these statements here, these statements are important. You are aware of this. You are perfect now in this. So the logic is here. Let me repeat once again. Pay attention. We make use of this loop so that we are able to travel through all this array. Okay, with each iteration. Why is the if condition used here? In the if condition, we are trying to check the element that we have accepted from the user. Is it matching with any content of this array? That is what we are checking. If the content matches, we are incrementing our frequency. If the content of this element does not match with the content of the array, then we are not going to, this statement frequency is not going to be executed. Simply the next iteration is generated. Okay, let us have a look at the output now. So let me say 5 elements. So let me enter the number as again 34, whose frequency we need to search. So it is telling me the element 34 is present 2 times. Suppose, okay, let me again enter the same set of elements. Now let me search for the number 67. So it is telling me 67 is present 1 time, correct? It is present 1 time. Another instance, we'll try to check for an element which is not present in the list. So let me write the number as 87. So you can see here, it is giving me the correct output. Why we are getting 0 times? Can anyone tell me? Why are we getting 0?
87 is not there in the list, and
Correct.
we have initialized frequency is equal to 0.
Correct. Because we have initialized frequency is equal to 0. So these are the 2 programs that we have done for the day. You people can ask me if you have any doubts here. If you have not followed the tracing, please let me know. So shall I assume you people have understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Drop in your attendance, all of you.